Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. Now this week we have someone very, very amazing that is joining us today to be sharing something that's very focused on parenting and is focusing on parenting.
Thank you.
Right. This week we actually have LiiChu, an amazing consultant, trainer, coach for not only professional adults, not only professionals, but also parents. Yes. And if I may, I'll give a very short, direct introduction about LiiChu. LiiChu, she is certified in the context of helping people in very different genres in life. Correct me if I'm wrong. The first one is you help people because of your coaching set of skills. You're a certified individual that helps people, coach them to get the best result, the goals that they set.
Yes.
Not just externally, but internally as well. Mm-hmm. And another part about her is she's also a certified individual on vocational technical training. So she helps people get their hands dirty to get the job done. And what's most impressive is she's also a certified practitioner for Qigong. She helps people not just use external energy, brute muscle, but also internal energy to get the job done. And a lot of times, my personal experience, I do not have too much experience with Qigong, but I understand that it's a very much of how you actually control yourself to be able to control your environment. And I think that balance is something that a lot of people are lacking. And I'm so glad to have you here today because we'll be talking and dabbling a lot about challenges that parents have.
Yes.
And some of the things that people misunderstand, the myths of parenting. And more importantly, what will be one or two tips that you can share that parents back at home can straight away do to help improve in their family's life.
Thank you, Webster.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. That was very elaborate, better than I can say about myself. However, I just want to go back to the thing about the Qigong.
Yes.
It's not so much as controlling ourselves to control the things we do. It's really awakening the gifts that we already have. You know, it's about centering and working with ourselves to make ourselves more available for others, and it's really also about our health, mentally, emotionally, physically, and that's what I like about Qigong. It's very gentle, but
that's
powerful.
A very good point, because a lot of times, right, people talk about getting results.
Yeah.
And people forget that to get results, the engine, the person's body, mental and physical, is so important to go forward. And a lot of times, adults, even professionals, don't understand. They kind of know that they need to take care of themselves mentally and physically, but the action, the behavior, the time that they put into it, is not really followed through.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, this is a very interesting topic because parents tell their kids to do what they're supposed to do, but the parents themselves don't actually follow through.
Yes, absolutely. We always tell parents that
kids
do not do what you tell them, but they actually observe what you're doing.
Correct. They model by seeing what you do.
By seeing what you do. And when you start to give conflict messages, which most parents may not even be aware of it, you know. And when you're not aware, the things that you do, you're creating a world for the kids where it's very confusing. And when it's very confusing, as they grow up, they get more and more challenges from when they are out there in the world. It gets even more confusing. And what are you anchoring the kids on?
That's a very good point.
And it's absolutely parents tell them what to do and they don't do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I believe because your background, you didn't start with the parenting side. You because you're such in demand of helping professionals, you've been pulled towards the corporate side because of what you can do and the results that you can deliver.
Yes.
And from your experience of working with individuals, you tend to realize from what you shared with me is you realize that a lot of the roadblocks that professionals have are usually not work related only.
That's
usually
right,
it stems with something that's happening back at home, their concerns and worry. And it's something that you've realized to be able to help people by helping their home, their family, and their ability to be amazing parents.
Absolutely.
And I want to bring down a particular pattern that you just mentioned just now. You mentioned just now about like what parents say versus what they do affects the children. Isn't that the same thing that they have in offices as well, in the corporations? What the bosses say and what the bosses do affects people. And if you were working with someone and your bosses say one thing and they do another thing, you would grade them not on what they say, but what they do. And that's the same thing for us as parents as well.
Yes.
So the question is, right, we do not want to be like those bosses anymore. We want to be the best parent, because if we can walk the talk, our children will definitely be able to live a more happy and successful life.
Yes. What we want to do is I give you an example.
Yes.
what makes a boss or a leader a powerful leader?
Yeah, good
You
question.
know, why certain leaders can attract more people to do more than what they're supposed to pay for?
Yes.
Is it somebody who's like a drill sergeant? Maybe there are people who like drill sergeants because these are the people who like to be told what to do. But generally, if you look at top leaders, you know, Mahatma Gandhi, you know, how did they enroll people to follow their vision? Is it they were told what to do, or is it that people are inspired, or people are touched by what this leader has to offer? You know, so it goes back to same with parents. We want to work for bosses who makes us feel appreciated. We want to be seen, we want to be heard. As human beings, that's our innate need, you know, and we are social animals. We need to be in a community. We need to have a sense of belonging. When a boss makes us feel that, you know, generally you will find that people will work extra hours for them, and people will do more than what they're supposed to do. A friend of mine was saying, you know, if the best way to see if what we are doing right with our people is what they do with their discretional time. Discretional time means after office hour. If you find that your staff are willing to stay back and do work for you, or even over the weekend, then you must be doing something right by them. And same with our kids. If the kids doesn't feel a sense of belonging, I mean, come on, we brought them into this world. We are their nucleus. If the kids don't feel safe and a sense of belonging at home, where else do you want them to find it? You know, if they don't feel seen, they don't feel understood, they are not heard, then where do you expect them to find it? You know, is it fair that we expect them to find it in school, in boot camps? You know, is it fair that they should find that sense of belonging or build a culture for them with friends outside? You know? So where is that nucleus, and where are the parents in terms of that anchoring? Do we actually take time to really, honestly get to know our kids? Do we really spend time, slow down ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, to be there, present, for our kids to feel that they are special? We can tell the kids, you're so special to me. You know, I've seen this many times, and you know, it just makes me boil, you know. You go to restaurants, what do you see? And this is a true story. I was in this restaurant having my dinner, and there was this family also having their dinner. For 45 minutes, let me demonstrate this to you. One of the parents, okay, was on the phone for 45 minutes throughout the meal with the two kids.
Wow.
And this is what she does. and that's all she does. So meal is so special for family. It's a time for you to get to know each other. How was your day? What did you do? You know, ask about what the kids were doing. You know, what were their new experience? What did they learn? You know, what was new for them? What was fresh for them? You know, only then we can see the world through the kids' eyes. It's not always for the kids to see our world through our eyes. You know, only then that we will know where the kids are and how we need to be to support the kids being curious, to support the kids in their learning, to support the kids in their creativity. You know, what else can we bring out and uncover for our kids? But if we are not there, physically, it seems like they're there. I don't think they're even there. Okay. You know, then when the kids stop talking to us, what do we do? Who do we blame? I don't know.
It's quite interesting because you brought up something which is technology. Technology is made to help us, but sometimes with things that are helping us, there is a price to pay. What is that price to pay? The ability to connect, to get resources, to get entertainment. What is the price to pay to enjoy that kind of a thing? Back in the day, having a television set is a luxury, and having to watch 30 minutes of a show is where everyone spend time together doing that.
Yep.
But there's only 30 minutes in the 24-hour window.
Right.
But in today's world, getting access to entertainment and all these resources is at the fingertips.
Yep.
To the point that what is the price that we pay. And we pay right now is the time that we have with our kids, the bonding, the ability to build a relationship. To the point that you have more intimate knowledge about the person in the screen, the celebrity, the person,
Absolutely.
rather than your own child. And
Yeah.
a lot of parents I spoke to, most of the time they admit the guilt that they have is they only know about their child having grades at school, how many hours they need to go for classes,
Yep.
and that's all.
Yeah.
They do not really know what's their favorite show, they do not know what's their favorite food, who is their best friends, what are their biggest fears, what are
Yeah.
their biggest joys.
Exactly.
So that's the reason why I want you here today, because you're going to be sharing with us, right, a truth, a challenge that parents face. Because right now, I'm an expert in working with kids. I'm an expert at helping kids on helping them learn how to study better, so that when they do well in school, they have extra time to do other things as well. Spending time with family, spending time with their hobbies, grooming themselves.
Right.
But the problem is, I work with so many students. There are some students that they have extra time to be with their family, but the family is not there for them. So and it's not that the parents don't want to be there. It's sometimes they are lost. Because work is there, responsibility is there, everything comes together. And again, the worst thing is they are learning from model in their past experience. Because no one ever teaches the parent to be a parent.
Absolutely.
The only thing they have is like, that's what my mama did, that's what my papa did,
Yeah.
and that should be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And something we mentioned before we recorded is the fact that back in the day, when the economy was one parent was enough to earn money,
Yep.
and the other parent was enough to take care of the family. They had that dynamics, and people had this understanding where mom can take care of the family, dad take care of the money.
Absolutely.
But in today's world, one parent may not be enough to be able to take care of the finances. Hence, two parents go out.
Yep. We
But
call
then-
it the dual income.
Correct. But the problem is, right, even though responsibilities have grown, but the society and the community and the system have not changed. In a sense, it's like mothers especially, they are given so much responsibilities that it's unfair for them as a human being. And what I mean, but you mentioned that very clearly, and I want to bring this up. I think it's very important. Mothers are given the responsibility to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a spouse, to be a career person, to be the person in
Absolutely.
charge of office and home. And then when anything goes bad, the mother is the one to blame. Papa, listen
Yeah.
up. and you know what? I was very lucky to get to be exposed to this, because sometimes as a guy, I would admit I am not exposed to the fact that these are the issues that's happening. And I think I was very lucky because when I got because after I finished university and I did what I did, I challenged myself to study again, and I went to Harvard. And in Harvard, I focused on family, the dynamics of family. It's not the amount of time that you spend with your kids. It's the quality of it you spend.
Absolutely.
And many of times it states that mothers have the worst, because she has the society have different expectations of her, and her ability to deliver as a human being is very, very difficult. And it shows that when parents, it's not a gender issue, it's not a individual, parents, the parent plays the parenting role, doesn't matter father or mother.
Absolutely.
The best is both.
Yep.
Plays the parenting role, the child has a higher level of success. And success doesn't only mean about getting good results in school, it's actually the follow through of them getting a high self-esteem for themselves, being able to see themselves as a bigger, better, valuable person. And not only do they help themselves become a better quality person to be able to get a job, take care of the family, but also better person in the community as well. And this is research that is done like over 50 to 60 years at Harvard. And the problem is, even though research like this has been shown, but people are deaf to it. They don't realize it because it's not a sexy topic. It's not a hot topic. Parents tend to hear it's like, oh, my child is suffering. Where do I send them to fix them?
Absolutely.
Your children are not cars.
Yeah.
It's not like you send them into a workshop and they get overhauled, they get fixed, and everything's all right.
Right.
I actually had a parent came up to me and say exactly that. It's like, nah, here's my child, fix that.
Yeah.
And I was very blunt to the parent, and this parent was someone of influence. He has a title. He has a title of Tan Sri. So in Malaysia, someone that has a Tan Sri is like someone very big deal. The people who travel with like security, so on and so forth. And when they asked us to help them, my reply was, if you send your car into the workshop and the car get totally fixed, it's like brand new. And you take the car and you drive it out. A week later, you come back with the same problem. It's not the car's fault. It's the driver.
How you drive it.
Correct. Because how you drive caused that to happen. So if you want your child to improve, you need to also improve. and I was a bit scared because that person is quite influential. But to me, I felt the need to tell the truth rather than tell what's nice. And I hope this video will focus on that, because parents, the goal of what we're sharing today is not to hurt anyone's feeling, it's not to challenge anyone's ability to be a parent, but more importantly, to be able to give ourselves the permission to see ourselves, to reflect back on ourselves, on what are the things that we're doing right, and what are the things that we can improve on. And it's only when we are able to see our weaknesses that we can only improve on them. And the thing is this, it's nothing to do with our egos as parents, it's everything to do with the well-being of our children. So that's the reason why I'm so glad to have you today. And
thank you.
I'm so excited to hear about your observation or your sharing about one of the challenges that parents face today that they need to be aware of. And what can they do about it?
Thanks, Webster. You said you've nailed a lot of things in there about challenges that parents face. Both parents have to be at work, and to be fair, we are now living in a society where yes, there's a lot of technology. It's a very busy world, and the parents are doing the best that they can. I think this is what is important for us to know as parents. We know you are doing the best that you can. You always want to do the best for your kids. And why do we go to work? Because we want to provide for our kids. Why do we send our kids to school? Because we want them to be academically competent. Why do we send them for swimming class? Because we want them to build extramural activities. Why do we send them to music class? Because we think it will help with their creativity. We are doing the best that we can. And we appreciate that. Given the kind of the experience that we have, we feel that sometimes some of these sufferings are unnecessary. One of why we're doing the work that we do is we really want to alleviate these sufferings. Some of them can be alleviated. Some of them needs to be worked on. It's true. And parents, there are a lot of parents myths. But let me go to the challenges first. What you say about both parents have to work. And it's true, because even in our work with the executives, let me talk from the women's perspective first, the mom. You have this mom who is expected to perform at work, come home to cook, and if they have a maid, jolly good, or they expect to cook, to be with the kids and do the shopping, marketing. If the kids is sick, they are the one that stays up in the middle of the night or right through the night, and the next morning they're expected to go to work and perform. And when she had to take time off to look after the kids who are not well, sometimes the challenge she faced at work is, you can't really promote her because women are like that, they take time off for their kids. They are not focused on their career. So these are some of the challenges. And as a mom, when we are back work looking after our kids or family, take time off, we feel guilty that we think we are not doing our part at work. We are not performing, we are disappointing our bosses, or we are leaving a lot of work for our colleagues. There's a guilt. But when we go to work, there's a guilt about not being with my kids. Okay. So these feelings are real, and we really empathize with the moms because it's a lot to live up to.
Exactly, because when emotionally you're distressed, it actually interrupts how you can actually perform.
It does, because imagine when I come back, I may be the one that needs to do the dishes. I may be the one that needs to tuck the kids to bed. When the kids are ill, I'm the one taking them to the clinic. I'm not saying the dad doesn't. The wonderful thing is we are seeing a shift. We are seeing a shift, and this is the part that I really want to encourage our society to be open to that shift where we actually create a space for the father to step in and be a father. Not just somebody who brings in the money.
Not just the breadwinner.
Not the breadwinner or the disciplinary or the good cop, the bad cop, but really be a father who is there emotionally, mentally and physically. But at the moment, I think the emotional part, we are...
The balance part.
Yeah, I think that part, we need to open a lot more space for the men to have access to that.
I see.
and create a space where it's okay for the man to say, I need to take time off because I need to take my child to the clinic. Without society saying, well, what's wrong with the mom? Isn't the mom doing it? You know, if we could shift that now. And I go back to the challenge that the mom may have. I'm already stressed at work, and I come back, and so one of the top three, let me go to, not in sequence, but let's just pick this, where the challenge of balancing of time, home, children, me. And when I work with the executives, and this happened to some of the dad, what is your self-care? And they say, what's self-care? My self-care is when I sleep. That's the only self-care that I have. And if we live in this frenzy world, then what kind of world are we creating for our kids? Some of us do not realize that when we do this, we create a certain sense. Sometimes we don't realize that the kids also feel guilty and bad, that when the parents come back and they're agitated with each other, some words are exchanged, and it could be things like, why didn't you get this kid to do the homework? Why did you get this kid ready? You know, I told you I'll be working late. You have no idea that the kids could be feeling guilty and bad, that they think they are the cause of that exchange of words. You know, you have no idea. It's not intentional. Parents would never intentionally, I think, hurt their kids.
Correct.
But it's little things that when you're not aware, you create an environment where the kids might feel bad and guilty, and over time they might start to tiptoe, and they might start to pull inward.
Correct.
Some of us have kids that as they grow up, they shut down more and more.
Correct.
And we wonder what happened, why wouldn't the kids talk to us?
True.
You know?
So
it's a possibility. I'm not saying this is exactly what's happening. It's very complex.
It's very clear to see that parents have so many roles to play, and they're doing everything, and it's kind of like when you have too many things to do, you're not necessarily doing anything. There's a wise mentor that mentioned, if you're busy, it doesn't mean you get your job done. Are you really focusing on what's really important?
Yes.
And I think something that you mentioned there is like really powerful. And I know you mentioned there was three, but I want to focus on this one first. And I think it's super important coming from you. Is many parents are doing things, thinking of good intentions, but is it really what they really need? So in finance, they talk about knowing what you want and knowing what you need. And a lot of times, we need to go to the root cause and the root issues. And a lot of times, people are fixing, bandaging the things that are on the surface, but the real issues are not focused on. And you mentioned something about like moms not having the time, the community, and then the dad want to get involved, but there is no real place to get involved. So from what I'm hearing, it seems like the real problem here is parents are not given the right space to explore being a parent. Because no parent were born to be a parent. You know, when their child is born, yes, they get the label as a parent.
And suddenly a parent.
Yes, but they don't get a manual to be a parent, especially for the child. And every child is different. And I agree with that. And I want to talk into this a little bit more.
Sure.
Because training parents is very important, but no one trains them. And the problem is, right, we usually get the training from our past experience, from our parents. Now, our parents are not great parents. They also learn from their parents. And they are trying their very best to give the very best to us. And there are certain things that we definitely don't like about how our parents raise us. But the problem is we will have this thing where, I will never do that to my child.
And you end up doing that.
You ended up doing it even worse. That's a common pattern that we notice. But more importantly, I would like to explore, because you work with parents so much, and you notice the patterns like this, and the root cause is they don't have the set of expertise, and sometimes it's also about the ability to be honest with themselves, and also the ability for them to give permission to themselves and the people that they work with, and the ability to communicate as well.
Right.
And those are very important challenges. Now, I'd love to dive into that. Like, let's break it out into three things. Like just now, first one is mummies not having the opportunity to have the ability to be herself, to be able to maintain herself. Daddies, they don't have the opportunity to be a daddy, to be part of the team, but more just the breadwinner context. And lastly, what I would say, what is the things that's holding parents back, that if they were to overcome it, a lot of things in family will be easier.
Yeah. For me, the basic 101 is the relationship between the mom and dad. When we bring the child into the family, I had a conversation with a young dad, and I asked him, have you ever had a conversation with your wife on how you're going to bring up the kids? What values are you going to uphold? What values do you want to develop in the kids? What culture do you want to have a family? What's your guiding principles in the family? These are very basic questions, which I think this might be too much of a general statement, but how many of us really actually sit down and answer these questions? It's not an easy question, and it's not a definitive. I call this inquiring questions. It's a process. You know, we think it's just like a company. This is what we want to start out with. Why do we want to? What's the purpose of doing this? What outcome do we want to see? And how are we going to do it? And in our company, in the corporate world, this is what we start out with. You know, sometimes with an organization. As in a family, how are we going to bring up these kids? By what value? What's our guiding principle? And when you have this basic, and the beauty of it is this. You can reset that relationship and that environment in your family anytime. The minute you say, I want to reset it now, you have it. It's that awareness, that commitment, and that intention that this is what I'm going to do now. It doesn't mean I said it, this is what I want to do. Oh, tomorrow I'm a different person.
Correct.
But hence the journey begin. If you start on a journey that involves your kids, where you develop a culture or family environment that involves the kids, and chances are you will be, when the child grow up, they are being taken into a journey where they have a say in it. When I say they have a say, it doesn't mean whatever they say, we give it to them.
Correct.
But the child felt heard, seen, whatever that they say is taken into consideration. When you can create that for a child, it's what we call, like in our exceptional parenting program, mutual trust and mutual respect. When they feel respected, chances are you will get your respect. I oftentimes tell parents, I said, sometimes your discipline is depending on my energy. If I'm not fatigued, child, I will run you to the end of the world.
Wow.
But when I'm tired, I give in. So then the child get very confused. Today, mommy say can, tomorrow daddy say cannot, next day daddy say okay. So where is the boundary that you set for the kids? You know, and that's what we tell parents. Yes, very often we send them, and we do everything we can because we want the child to be successful. And we want them to be academically successful. We send them to the best school, we send them to the best academy, we send them to boot camp. What message are we sending to the kids? You know, the authority is there and not me. You know, and then we get upset when what we tell the kids doesn't listen. We have kids coming back and says, but my teacher says cannot. Hello, you know. And you're so right. It's not how much time we spend with the kids, it's the quality of the time. Given all the times that the kids have spent with their friends at the tuition center, when they come back, the amount of time that they spend with you is precious. How much of you are you giving to the child? Now, to be fair, we come back from work, we're tired.
Correct.
We are exhausted. And some of us, our mind is still with work. I have got this thing to deliver. I've got this project. I've got this presentation. I have to meet with the board, you know. And all these are with us. And we are human beings. We can't just shut off unless you have reached a certain development of yourself that you're able to disconnect and discern. And that's what we call development. Once you are developed. And this is what we want to introduce to the parents also. So to be fair, then how do you make yourself available for that little time with the kids? You know, we had these parents who were with us, and after a process with us, and she realized that, you know, I always tell my kids what to do, but I realized I never look at my kids in the eyes. I never look at them face because I'm always so busy. I'm always telling what to do. but I don't have time or patience to make it really a two-way.
Okay.
So as far as the case is concerned, I'm always told what to do. You know, we even have these kids who told their parents once and says, I really don't understand what you need from me. And this is a 7-year-old child.
Wow.
I did everything to please you, but you're never happy with what I do. I'm confused. What do you want from me? You know?
That's a very powerful statement.
It's a very
powerful
statement. You know,
and parents, like you mentioned, they come with positive intentions. Is the action.
Absolutely.
So sometimes, especially if you're doing something without proper planning, like without proper reasoning,
because you're not anchored to a principle or value. We talk about value, but how much time do we really work with it and embrace and practice it and test it? How much do we? And when kids throws it back at us, sometimes I feel for the parents. I really feel for the parents because I'm a parent and you know, I've been through these kind of challenges before. How do I know what's right and wrong with my kids? You know, I've all my life it's always been, I wish there was somebody to tell me what to do. And worse still, we compare ourselves with other parents. You know, oh, you know, this, I remember once I was telling one of my friends, I said, you're so lucky, you get to stay at home, it's such a luxury. You spend so much time with your kids, and your kids have your time. I said, I need to work. My kids hardly have time with me, and I feel so guilty. And it's bad for me, health-wise, mentally, emotionally. And even right up to 10 years ago, I still blame myself for a lot of things that I felt I didn't, or I over. I was too soft, too strict. Where's the middle line, you know? And I was very surprised when my friend told me, you think? I have 17, 18 years with my son. It's true, I'm stay-at-home mom, but today I had the most rebellious son you've ever seen. He won't talk to me, he shuts me out from his life. I don't know what I did wrong. So I want parents to know that whatever challenges we have is inherent. As long as we say we are parents, challenges are there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help when we have all this parenting myths that you're talking about, you know. I need to be a perfect parent.
I think those
What's a perfect parent?
You know, that's the thing. There is no such thing as a perfect parent. And within the context of perfect parent, they think about spend more time. Like you already explained just now, spending more time doesn't mean you fix everything. Giving them the best of everything doesn't also mean that they will get the best out of everything.
Yep.
And based on those particular myths, the reality is there's a root issue here. And I think it's more of like how parents can become that parent. There is no one answer that fixes everything. There's no one pill that fixes everything. But from what I'm hearing, something that's very, very important, and I think everyone is dying to hear. Where should they go to get education? Where should they go to get the experience to become a better parent? And a lot of times when people ask that, because you gave that answer just now, in a sense it's like when you decide to want to make it happen, you're already on the journey. It's not straight away you get fit.
Yeah.
You start. And when you start, you get things to go in to start taking action. And a lot of times people get stuck at the input, but not the output. And you mentioned something very interesting just now. You talk about a lot of parents, they learn about certain things, but they don't really deliver the way that needs to be delivered.
Yeah.
So there's this thing that I noticed, like when people learn, there's the input version and the output version. The input part is where they go and do all research, do all the Google search.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. But there's a flaw in learning. Learning is not just about the input of information, but the ability to execute. And as a parent, executing is not as easy as do A, do B, you get C.
Yeah.
It's very different for every child and every situation. And hence, that's one of the reasons why when you work with parents, you don't just give them information, you work with them. And when you work with them, the opportunity is for them to actually explore doing it their way and in a way that they can improve from there. And that is something that people need to invest in themselves. The ability to be able to learn something, test something, and execute, and evolve with it with their children. If, like you mentioned just now, some parents that spend the whole 17 years with their children, they're further away than ever before. It's not a matter of quality of time, it's not about quality of information, it's about execution. Would you agree with that?
I think it's very important for parents to know that first we are human beings. Okay, human beings are complex. If we're really honest with ourselves, we have our own. We are human complex. We are complex, Our child is complex. Okay, you're right. There are a lot of tools, skills you can read from books. You can Google. You check with your friends. What do they do? You learn from each other. But at the end of the day, for us, likewise, when we work with executives in the corporate world and with parents, common denominator, we are human beings. All right. What I think is impactful, and I use the word a game changer or critical, short of, is the state of mind. So let's go back to a practice of Qigong. I can't be practicing. I just do the drill. But if I'm not with what I'm doing, I'm not getting the essence of it. I can be doing it for 20 years and I'm not going to get anything, because I can be writing A, I'm an expert in writing A, but who am I being when I'm writing A? Who am I being when I'm practicing? Who am I being when I'm with my child? Who am I being when I'm with my spouse? And I think where I find that is unique in what we do is it's not just about the tools and skills. It is getting parents or our executives into that state, in that way of being. All right. If I'm being centered, I'm present, it can be a split second and my child will feel that I'm with him. It's like if I can be with you, but if my mind is elsewhere, you can be telling me something and I say, yeah, okay, just do it. But if I'm there with you, and one of the I use the word tools to get into the state of what I'm talking about is being curious. All right, being really genuinely curious with my kids. Now, if I bring it to the corporate world, it could be I'm genuinely curious with what's going on with my staff, what's going on with this project, genuinely curious about what are my staffs thinking in the certain way that they are doing certain things, so that I can really learn. And if my team feels that I'm really trying to relate to them and have them relate to what I want, can you imagine the power of that? Now, I have a kid here. All right, let's give an example of doing homework. A lot of parents, unless they send it to the kids and the tuition center handle the homework, but then do we really know where the kids are? And we send them because we want them to be good academically. But the magic of getting them to be academically successful or to a level, and I just need to interrupt this. Acceptable to whom? To a society who is only focusing on academic results, or to a society who said we are in a community where everybody has a gift? Because we are so focused that they need to be academically high up there. We may have a child who has such a wonderful gift in expressing through art, through work, but we nullify that and say you need to do this engineering. Then what are we telling the kids? You're not important until you deliver what the society wants. Are you bringing up your kids to comply to society? Or are you bringing up this whole human being who has a gift to this world that you can nurture, and this kid can grow up feeling good about? I don't care if I don't go to Cambridge, but I care the fact that I can work with other people to express their gifts to what I can do.
You're right.
Like I have a friend who develop kids through art. If I want to know the kids' world, I get them to paint. I get into that world and I can get them to express. So now back to being curious. Doing homework with the kids. You want to get the kids to do homework. The kids refuse to do homework, and you scream at them and you yell at them, and I want to sleep. You're wasting my time. I got laundry to do. I got this. Do your homework. And the kid says, I can't do my homework. I want to do my homework. And then it becomes a bickering and shouting, and you're already so tired. And then says, Daddy, you get him to do the homework. And Daddy says, I'm not getting involved in that. It's mommy's job. Why is it mommy's job? But let's park that aside. So, is it the child won't do it, or is it the child can't do it? So this is two big distinction. Is it they won't or they can? a lot of us come from, they won't. All right? I give you a true example with this kid.
Okay.
We have this kid, and he knows his homework. He can do it, but every time he needs to check with the adults, is this correct? Is this correct? And he won't do it. And the parents are like, just do it, just do it. Don't waste your time. You need to shower. You need to get to bed tomorrow. And I was observing it, and I kept quiet. And after a while, so he did his homework after the, unnecessary. So I said, some of this suffering is unnecessary of all the exchange of energy, And I had a moment with the child, and I said, child, you know the answer. I'm curious, why won't you just do it? And he won't answer, and so in exceptional parenting, we bring you through this state about genuinely curious, what we're saying about. So I said, okay, I'm very curious because I know, and when I do that, what happens to me is I actually slow down. And when I'm genuinely curious, it gets into a state where I'm genuinely curious in this little human being that is right in front of me as to what is really going on with him. He's not going to just come out and tell me until he feels it is safe to tell me. And he says, I can't tell you because you might be angry with me. And I said, no, I won't be angry with you. I'm really curious. Tell me what's going on. And he said, because if I don't get it all right, people might be disappointed with me. I might make people feel sad. And that broke my heart, like this young child. And in our program, we make that distinction. They can't or they won't. So it's because he won't because he can't. He can't bring himself to the state where it's okay to get some of my answers wrong. And after that, and I said, okay, so we had this conversation, and it was really rewarding for both of us. And we got to the stage where it is not about getting it all right. It is about doing the best that you can. And he said, you mean if I get some of it wrong, it's okay? I said, if you are lazy and you don't want to do it, then it's not okay. But if you've done your best, then it's okay because we are always learning. I said, I'm learning. I'm learning too. And he likes to mess in the kitchen with me, and sometimes I say, I'm learning, I'm not sure, should I put this, should I put that? And he gets to see everything is a learning process. And so I said, so next time, it's not okay if you don't give your best. So that's the value we're inculcating to the child. You need to do your best, and if your best is this much, it's fine, because I said, you have a long way to go, there's so much to learn. So then what are we creating? We're creating permission for him to learn, and the permission has to come with making mistakes, not getting AAA.
Correct.
And when this child we start a child like this, as they grow up in university or in sports, whatever, at least they can be confident in themselves that even if I don't go home with a gold medal, I've done my best, and my parents would still be proud of me, and I am proud, and I know the integrity with myself is I've done my best, but there's a lot more to learn. Okay, now, and it was very funny. So a few weeks later, he came back and he scored his spellings. He got it all well. So I cheered him, and then he asked me. He said, "If I didn't get it all correct, would you be upset?" I said, "What do you think?" Then he said, "No, I don't think you're upset." Exactly, I will not be upset, because it means we just need to study more, that's all. I said, hey, I don't get it all right. I said, when I'm studying, I don't get it all right, and I don't care getting it all right, He said, oh, and he suddenly broke into that smile. It's so that I do my best. I said, yes, but you have to do your best.
Wow.
You must do your best. And he said, okay, and he was very happy. And this is a very happy child who I hope grows up having confidence, at least in that value. I need to do my best, and if I don't, it is whatever result I get, it is what it is. I can move on. You know, whereas instead of feeling bad, guilty, I need to have somebody else's approval. And I told him, it's not about approval, it's knowing this, and if you're not happy or if you're afraid, talk to your parents. Talk to your parents, you know, and this is what I'm saying. And so in that, just that state of being curious, and it's only
so
minutes.
powerful.
It's just minutes. And what happened is, in our approach, we say mutual trust, mutual respect. So what eventually what happened was, he felt respected because of that conversation, and I actually put everything down and I look at him and I slow everything down because I'm genuinely curious, and I'm genuinely curious person. And once we get that, there is mutual trust. He trusts that when something happens, he comes to me. He comes to me because I don't judge. Now, we are human beings, so we are judging machines. But at least I'm aware. I'm not going to judge. I have my judgment, but I can park it aside. Genuinely curious to what's going on. And then we have what we call a workable agreement for him. Okay? A workable agreement is, if you're not sure, you ask. If you're feeling bad, you express. If you feel you can't, you let us know. And you let us know how we can support you, and we will let you know what needs to be done and what's our family's culture and value like. And therefore, from mutual trust, you get mutual respect through workable agreements. And inevitably, and this is my vision for starting this parenting program, we can't say, you know, we can blame our Ministry of Education for the education that goes whack or whatever it is, all right? So education is education. It's definitely very important. That area, we definitely need to get it right. But where parents can really come to play a very powerful position is when we are able to be available to our kids like this. This child of mine is going to grow up feeling sure of themselves, happy, confident, healthy. When I said healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically, and I like to expand to spiritually as he grows up. Imagine if the parents all band together and we create this generation of youth. What kind of leaders can we expect to develop for the country?
Correct.
You know, they are healthy. When they are healthy, they are happy. You know, they can be giving. We want leaders, young leaders who are happy, confident, giving. We want a society that is like that. And it starts with us parents.
Correct.
You know, are we willing to give ourselves that permission, that time to do this work? Now, Webster, yes, parents are doing the best, and we really empathize. I've been through that, and that's why for me, this is so meaningful. I want to tell parents, you are not alone. Your challenges, you're not the only one with the challenges. And this myth about being the perfect parent
doesn't exist.
Your child is not asking for a perfect parent because they don't know what's a perfect parent.
Correct.
To them, the best parent is somebody who sees me, nurture me, who loves me. Now, when we say loves me for who I am and unconditionally, doesn't mean we don't challenge our kids.
Correct.
How do we, when we coach our kids in their homework, in their life, in their questions about society, about philosophy, as a coach, how do we challenge them in a manner that is lovingly, respectfully, and nurturing? Can parents do that? Yes, we can. Now, going back to some of the sufferings are unnecessary with these kids, so the yelling and the screaming, eventually it's not necessary. Next time we get to the homework, are you going to do your best? Fine. So do it. Learn to trust yourself. Trust yourself. And this child is amazing. One day we were asking him something. He says this is the answer, but he said, you know, if I trust myself, he did this. If I trust myself, this is the answer. And I said, trust yourself. And he got the right answer. So he learned the language he has now is trust myself, trust myself, trust myself. Then we are helping him to develop a relationship with his inner self that is wise, children has a certain wisdom if we encourage them to get into it. As an adult, do we have the time, and do we give ourselves that permission? And I think it's about time for us to pause in our busy life, give ourselves the permission to pause, I use the word, to have compassion for ourselves. We are doing the best that we can as parents. We are doing the best that we can as a spouse, as a husband, as a wife. We are doing the best that we can as a sister, as a brother, as a daughter, as a son. We are doing the best. Stop and appreciate that we are doing the best that we can, and there is more. There's a lot of forgiveness and compassion. Start with ourselves, and you see magic with the kids, because then this is the real thing that they are growing up with. That when they grow into the world, the kids have access to themselves emotionally, mentally, and they learn to respect the body, because that's the body that houses everything.
Correct. It's quite powerful, because when you mentioned that, I was straight away thinking of like a metaphor, because so many research have been shown that children, even though they have the best of knowledge, doesn't necessarily make the best choices. Look at cases like in Japan, the suicide rate is so high. Even though the parents are there with the most amount of time, give them the most amount of resources, but what's lacking is that bonding, the ability to be able to connect. And in answer, it's like a bottle of water. It's like whatever you fill in it will become it. So what happens is if you fill it with like a lot of like only positivity, because there are some issues in the States where their focus is like, let's be as positive as possible for our babies. And to the point that they become like they are protected in a bubble. Then if anything were to say like that's going to be harmful or hurtful, this child cannot take it. Too much of a good thing, also not good.
Exactly.
But at the same time, with no connection whatsoever, and it's like you're only doing it because that's how the society says you must get A's, you're not accepted. You must get this job, if not, you're not cared for. And that also creates a harm. So what you're talking, something is very powerful, which is that balance, because that balance allows this individual to live the life to the fullest. And if, for example, that person feels whole, if that person feels loved and cared for, that person will give themselves permission to really reach out for the stars. The example that you gave just now was perfect, because a lot of times, even though they are 7, 6 years old, they are like sponge. They learn so much, and they're very intelligent. It's just that they have not seen an adult that they can model to use that intelligence properly. And because when they see an adult being so focused on the emotion, like when they're agitated, they'll do it like this. When they're relaxed, they do it like this. They just follow, because that's the role model that I should follow. I mean, who else tells them what is right and wrong? All right. So what happened is, as parents, one of the most important things I'm hearing right now is their ability to be aware about themselves. And when they can take care of their awareness of themselves, it helps them become that better parent. It's not about reading 1,000 books. It's not about spending 1,000 hours in seminars or workshops. It's about how they be present for their child.
That state of being, and that's what we do in the parenting. Our exceptional parenting, it's not just the tools, it's getting you into that state. Once you get into that state, it's like now.
The calm, the ability to think, something very powerful.
Yes, then you are centered. When you're centered, you have that big space for things to come in, to focus, because I'm telling you now, by my state, you're the most important thing in front of me, right here, right now, right this minute. You are my world. Can you imagine how powerful that is for the child?
So powerful. Don't even talk about kids, as adults.
As adults.
It's very, very powerful.
It's very powerful.
A lot of people hunger for that.
We need to create a space for the child to have a sense of belonging. We need, as we work with the kids, and this means about being, like I said earlier, the perfect parent, forget it. When you can run through certain problem solving with the kids, and the kids see how you handle some of the problems, emotionally, mentally, you work through the problems with the kids. It can be challenging when the parents do not have that access. And we work with parents to have that access, because you do. You might have forgotten you have it. You do. It does take courage. Then we are developing kids that are resilient in times of trouble.
Correct.
And the most important thing is they reach a stage where they can ask themselves, what would my mom or my dad say in a situation like this? I think they will say this, therefore I feel confident. I would do this because I know that's what we do as a family. Then I have my nucleus. As a family, this is what we do.
That's so powerful. Because what you just mentioned, the step-by-steps on how you work with the child to allow them to think, to allow them to process, and also to evaluate.
That's the word, allow them to process, and you process it with them.
Correct, because it's not about telling them what to do, it's allowing them to actually think. Because I am a big believer of like, we will not be here forever. We will die one day. Exactly. And when we are no longer here, can we go knowing that our children can take care of themselves by thinking about how to take care of themselves? And if we don't start training them to think, when would they start thinking?
Yeah.
So in a way, what you've done just now, you demonstrated a very step-by-step of how very effective coaches are able to actually allow the child to grow.
Yes.
And one of the things that I noticed very interesting is that when we try to teach parents or give exposure to parents about how to coach their child, there are a few obstacles that comes out. Some of my coaches, they're very straightforward. They say those are excuses. But some of the reasonings that parents come out and say why they can't do certain things and why they are not them and why they are not you, it's because it's like it's too difficult to learn this kind of things. It's too difficult to be centered, to make the time to be able to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
As a coach, we always believe we meet our clients, our coachee where they are. And some of these are real. Like I said earlier, I have a lot of empathy for their challenges. And the same thing I said about the kids doing homework is that they can or they won't. So it's the same distinction for parents. Is it you can or you won't? Okay? And as a coach, I look at, is it they can or they won't? I need to assess that. Now, if they say it's too difficult, then it's a whole process of working. Is if they really want to, but they can't, then it's easy. We can work with creating space, and it's like building blocks. Like sometimes parents says, even simple thing like breathing, when you are stressed, you go, it's a chest breathing. And if you learn how to calm yourself down and you do diaphragm, not diaphragm, abdominal breathing, just 30 seconds and you can be, and I can start, now. But there are parents who also can't because they don't know, and that's where we work with them.
I hear you.
We give them little things to practice, but at the end of the day, it's getting them to a place where what is really, really important for you? What are you willing to give up so that you can have more?
Another word other than give up is what are you willing to replace?
What are you willing to replace?
Would you think environment plays a big part of it? Because a lot of people, when it comes to helping their kids, they'll send them somewhere to give them the environment. But for the parents, their environment, because they don't see themselves as valuable enough, but now we know clearly, we as parents are the most valuable, distinction that helps the child grow.
Yeah.
So the environment for the parent, do you think it's important for them to be in a right environment where they can actually explore this in a safe place?
Yes, I mean, if you talk about an environment for them to work with themselves, yes, like in our exceptional parenting, it's an environment we create where it's safe for the parents to come out. I call it come out and play.
Okay.
Okay, and then what we do is we give you some tools, you go back, you try and see how it fits. And what is exciting about this is a tool is a tool is a tool. What we are very excited about is what do you do with those tools in your family? Because your family is unique. And we are always very curious, genuinely curious, how you use those tools in that environment. Because there are so many different unique environments, and we always want parents to come back and share with us what did they do with the tools, what results did they create, what learning did they have, and how can they share this so that other parents can learn.
Okay.
And so then that gives life to the tools, and in terms of home environment, a very simple thing it could be, it's very often we take our kids to the mall, and then the kids cannot sit still, take them to the mall, and then you stimulate them some more, and then you give them the iPad, and then you stimulate. So with all this stimulation, is it a surprise that supposedly we now have a generation of attention deficiency kids? Is it a surprise? Were they born because of the diet, or did we create it? Was that the energy? You know, I had this family who had a great shift. And this is the good news about the virus at this moment. So parents don't go to the mall. So what do? Some parents give the kids iPad and TV. I had these wonderful parents, this family, they started playing badminton with the kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they started playing, and they used that as a way to coach the kids. You know, do your best, you missed this. So, okay, notice that you like this way, you know, so practice until you're good, then we do the backhand. You know, how do you encourage? So that is another way to build. And you build that kid's emotion through physical activities, and you are with the kids, and they are focusing on hitting the shot. And how do I teach my kids to be focused? Play badminton, focus on the shot. So they inevitably, we are not telling them to focus, we have an experiential process of focusing now. So when we start to do homework with them and the kids are all over the place, we say, you know, when you were doing that with the badminton, what were you doing? Yeah, you asked me to keep. Same thing. Do this. Solve this equation one at a time. Remember the badminton shot? One shot at a time. And so this is where, as parents, when you coach your kids in their academic, you want them to do academically well, you learn and acquire these skills to be how to be that kind of effective coach.
I see.
And yes, you're right. They are a mother, they are a coach, they are a friend, but ultimately they are a parent. I have one parent who told me, I'm very clear with my kids. You know, I'm not their friend. I told them, I'm your mom, and I am your mom. I do have that authority. I will be your friend later. But now I'm your mom. I tell you to do this. Clean up after you, you do. The kids must have that kind of sense that mom and dad has that authority, but within the parameters I can play. And then this family started, doing activities at home. You know, buying those
board games and stuff.
Pools, like swimming pools, and the kids there, and they even have other kids to come. And what do you teach them? You teach them how to be sociable. You know, you watch how the kids play with each other. You don't do that. As a kid, you must share. And they learn how to be. And it's not something that you send them to school. You see it. You are at the place right there and then to put in either some kind of learning, some kind of thoughts, and you can guide the kids, you know, how to be in a society, how to play with each other, how to share, you know. And after you play the games, and after you've done with badminton or the pool, you, instead of wasting the water, we say have the kids use the water to water the plants. So then how do I don't tell them sustainability, I guide them into sustainability.
Nice.
You know, I had this kid one day coming and I was washing vegetables. He looked at me, you're wasting water. If you're doing that, turn off the tap. I said, you know. So I'm learning from them, and I allow myself to learn from them.
The question I think right now is how can a parent get to this state? Because a lot of people know little bits of parts here and there, but to be able to master it, to even go close towards mastery, to practice and to immerse themselves in this, I think they need an environment. I believe, because if I'm not in the right environment, sometimes I don't even follow through. Right? True. So I know that, you know, if I want to work out, I have to be in a gym, because if I'm back at home, I'll be like, do I want to lie on the couch or do my sit-ups? Or
do I do two? Two is enough, but when I'm in the gym, I do 20.
You push yourself, and by the end of the day, right, you thank yourself for putting yourself in the environment to get it done. So the reason why I brought that up is also because you actually provide the environment. You actually give a 2.5 hour session. Is that right? Yeah.
So what happened is that we actually have exceptional parenting weekend, we call it, and it's actually a 2.5 day weekend. You know, and so in that 2.5 day weekend, there are a lot of tools and ways of being that we will actually share with the parents and have the parents experience. And what is powerful about that is that then we have a community of parents that can work together.
Okay.
And we also believe it's not just about going into a 2.5 day, all right? It is also about practicing it and coming back to get more learnings and deepening our learnings, because we will have a lot of challenges as we practice those tools. And whatever that they go through is the same as imagine your kids are going through as they're growing up. You know, it is a process and it is a journey. Yeah. So for parents, we do have a 3-hour, and it's a very powerful 3-hour free sessions. They can also come in to work with us. In fact, on the 21st of March, we're actually having this 3.5-hour free session. Okay. Parents can come and experience, and they can get to know other parents. And there I want them to bunk the myth about the perfect parent, and really to see every parent has challenges. You're not alone. I think the message we want to have the parents know is you're not alone, and you don't have to go through this alone.
Correct.
You know, we can band together as a strong community with a shared vision of what we want for the kind of dream ideal family that we want. You know, so that session is actually happening on the 21st of March. Perfect. And we are very excited to have parents join us and experience it, because we don't want to talk about it. We want it to be really experiential for them.
Awesome. So what happens is that we'll be posting links towards the event in the link section below. And if you want to get more details, to get in contact with you, with the team, to see how they can explore more on how the parents can actually get involved even more, we'll put it in the link at the bottom. At the same time, I believe there'll be some individuals that have questions to ask and maybe some points. And I think, you know what, I bet some of the questions that you might have will be a good topic to talk about in the future episode.
Yes,
now,
I would love to.
Her share more. Remember to put
more
comments
questions.
down there. Yeah, put as much questions as detailed as possible, and we'll share it with LiiChu, and we can actually use that to tempt her to come and do another recording with us again.
I would love to,
because her time is very valuable, but the fact that I believe she loves sharing, just give her the right question so she'll focus on that.
Yes.
Now guys, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you like what you see, remember to share it with other parents, because if it helped you, definitely can help other parents as well. Now, more importantly, before we say goodbye, if there's one last thing they can share to the parents, a tip, anything, one last thing, what would you say to them?
I want parents to know you're not alone. Some of your sufferings are not necessary, and I feel for you because I've been through it myself. We can come together, you're not alone. We can do this together, and it's much more fun.
The right community, the right support, the right environment gives you the permission to be the very best.
Give yourself that permission. Give yourself that permission to explore. Yeah.
You know what? So many parents, every expert in the education field knows that parents are the key to the child's success. But there are so little resources to help parents, and I am so glad that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I encourage, make the time. You don't have to. You will never have time. Make the time, because what you're doing right now is not just for you, but for your family.
Yep.
Yes.
You'll be amazed at what you can do actually.
I'm a very big believer of that. I've seen it happen so many times. The only thing is you have to show up.
Yes.
So show up, register, show up,
be there,
and be able to and get ready to accept the changes that are about to happen.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Now, guys, like I mentioned just now, if you like the video, remember to give it a like, share, and place your comments if you have any questions that you have. And if not, looking forward to seeing you all in the coming video. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.